Orhan used to be the most powerful S-ranked party member, but his friends cast him out because his support magic wasn't as good as the others. Although he was never really a magician, he decides to return to his passion, swordmanship, to become the greatest adventurer. Well, the story begins with our main character, Orhan, hunting dark rabbits inside a dungeon. While fighting, he tells himself that it's a good thing his skills haven't completely deteriorated. Suddenly, he finds himself surrounded by a whole group of goblins. But Orhan doesn't panic. He thinks this is the perfect opportunity to test his magic. He immediately activates support magic on himself, boosting his strength, speed, and overall stats. With this magic, Orhan easily destroys all the goblins. This support magic has a fixed time limit, normally 3 minutes. It depends on each person's magic resistance, and in Orhan's case, it lasts exactly 3 minutes. Support mages typically avoid sword fighting, but Orhan is different. He must time every fight carefully so that the enemy dies before his magic runs out. After defeating the goblins, Orhan recalls a painful memory from his past. The moment when he was expelled from the heroes' party, even though they were his childhood friends. Party leader Oliver bluntly tells him that he kept him on the team until now only because of their past relationship. But Orhan is no longer at that level. The other party members, Annalie and Derek, also start mocking him. Orhan is shocked as to why they are saying this. Oliver tells Sirius Stone that Orhan lacks skill and therefore has to leave the team. Orhan can't believe that the same friend with whom he formed a party 8 years ago, having reached the S ranks in just a few years, is now ousting him. This was the same team that together cleared floor 94 of Sathan Great Dungeon, a record no one else had reached. This is why people started calling them the Heroes Party. Orhan says that maybe he isn't strong, but this applies to everyone. I mean, the rest of their members have shortcomings too. But Oliver says that in the last joint trade, he saw other enchanters from other S-rank parties who were truly amazing, and Orhan is nothing compared to them. Orhan explains that his main class was previously Swordsman, and he created his own spells to support the party. But Derek silences him and taunts him that he changed classes because he was weaker than Oliver in swords. Annalie also says that Orhan isn't a particularly good enchanter anymore. Orhan explains that he took the enchanter role because the party needed him and he was capable. He covered his shortcomings with magic, and that's why the team has survived even on the darkest dungeon floors. But Oliver interrupts him and says that they've found his replacement. Hearing this, Orhan is completely shocked. Annalie then says that they are a party of heroes, so they have to keep moving forward, and Orhan is just becoming a burden to them. Understanding the situation, Orhan realizes that he has no place there, so he starts to leave. But before leaving, Annalie throws in one last taunt, saying that Orhan, the magic swordsman, knows everything but only at the A-rank level. She then adds that such people are simply called Jake of all trades, meaning master of none. Back in the dungeon, Orhan reflects that he now possesses both the swordsman and enchanter classes. He decides to combine them to create a completely new fighting style. He promises himself that he will never again be called a jack of all trades and will one day become an adventurer who can do anything. A while later, he registers the floor on the teleport crystal and is about to leave. Just then, some adventurers come running into the safe zone. They argue among themselves that it was wrong to leave the girl behind. Their leader says that if he hadn't done this, everyone would have died and the girl had just joined the team that day. So according to him, the older members are more important. This Orhan listens silently. He knows the pain of being left out of the group. In anger, he calls them cowards and losers, making excuses to hide their mistakes. This enrages them and one of them attacks Orhan. But Orhan easily knocks him down and asks for the girl's location. Meanwhile, the girl is alone in a panic, surrounded by orcs. She uses her barrier magic as a last resort but knows it won't last long. The orcs repeatedly attack the barrier. As soon as the barrier breaks, Orhan enters and stands in front of the girl. He attacks the orcs. The girl is shocked to see Orhan using support magic and sword fighting. He fights with a combination of magic and sword, killing the orcs one by one. Then, he uses his special move, Sharpness Up, which makes his sword cut through the orcs like butter, eliminating all the orcs in a second. His fighting style is completely unique. As the orcs die, the girl breathes a sigh of relief and breaks down in tears. She can't believe she's still alive. Coming out of the dungeon, she thanks him and reveals her name to be Sophia Claudel. Orhan finds her surname and emblem vaguely familiar, but he doesn't pay much attention and reveals his name to be Orhan Dura. Sophia lovingly invites him to dinner. Orhan hesitates a bit, but after she insists, he agrees. That evening, they go to a simple but tasty restaurant. Then Orhan notices that Sophia's emblem is that of the silver rabbits of the night sky. He realizes that Sophia is an explorer for that clan, one of the most powerful guilds in Nohita and the kingdom. Sophia sees her older sister and approaches her, asking what she's doing there, to which she explains that she had a meeting nearby. She asks what Sophia is doing there and who this boy is, as she's too young to have a boyfriend. Upon closer inspection, she recognizes Orhin. Orhin greets her. Sophia is surprised that Orhin knows her sister. Orhin explains that there's no one who doesn't know Selma Claudel, the Silver Rabbit's rank S leader, because she is the continent's strongest instigator. She was the one who popularized enchanters and introduced the idea of group composition, i.e., having different roles in a party, such as attackers, defenders, and supporters. The hero's party was no different. This is why Orhin had to switch from swordsman to enchanter, and why Oliver and the others replaced Orhin. But Orhin doesn't understand why Selma is looking at him angrily. She suddenly asks why he's after her 14-year-old sister. Is he trying to deceive her? Orhin immediately clarifies that he has no ill intentions, he just came to have dinner with her. But Selma misunderstands and begins yelling at Orhin. Then Sophia intervenes and reminds Selma that Orhin saved her life. Selma discovers that Sophia went to the dungeon alone and becomes enraged. But later, she calms down and apologizes to Orhin and thanks him. After a while, Selma says that she hadn't seen Orhin since the last raid, and this is the first time they've sat down and talked like this. Sophia then asks how they know each other. Orhin explains that they were together on last month's joint excursion. Selma explains that they're both enchanters, so they were together on that raid. Orhin says that Selma commanded very well. He was just helping from behind, but Selma is impressed that Orhin helped exactly as she expected. Sophia is surprised that she's talking as if Orhin is a big name. Then Selma reveals that Orhin is a member of the famous heroes party. Sophia is shocked and blushes. Orhin says that he doesn't need to be so formal. He also makes it clear that he is no longer a part of the group. Selma is a little shocked and asks if he really left the group. Orhin replies that he left the group just yesterday. Selma asks, how could the heroes party let go of someone as talented as you? Orhin shrugs it off, saying it was just a few small issues and the decision was made. Taken by mutual consent. Selma asks if he's free now. He thinks she might want him to join the Silver Rabbit clan, so he makes it clear up front that he doesn't want to join any clan or group. But Selma smiles and tells him he's mistaken. In fact, she has the perfect job for him. She explains that their clan is conducting an instructional exploration in 2 days, and she wants Orhin to participate. He'll be paid and he can treat it like field training. Selma explains that several experienced explorers, A rank and above, will lead groups of Nausicaa explorers, taking them to floor 50 of the Great Southern Dungeon. Orhin immediately points out that no matter how talented Nausicaa is, it usually takes 6 months to a year to reach that level. According to him, this plan is simply insane. But Selma says that it's not impossible if they take shortcuts, and that's exactly what their sponsors are demanding. Orhin understands that even a powerful clan like the Silver Rabbits has to follow orders. But then he questions why they didn't refuse their sponsors. Instead of taking such a huge risk, a little thought leads him to understand the real reason. Even if Nausicaa doesn't defeat the bosses, they will be able to explore and register on new floors. This will increase the clan's overall strength. Selma is amazed that Orhin understood everything with so little information. She assumes he's quite intelligent. She explains that the novices will surely die in the face of the bosses. Experienced adventurers will protect them and defeat the bosses, so they can register in the crystal to advance to the next floors. That's why she wants Orhin to come along. Orhin says that this plan is very important to the Silver Rabbits. He doesn't understand why they want to include an outsider like him. Selma suddenly grabs his hand and says that she respects him greatly. Hearing this, Orhin is completely shocked. He wonders why. Selma respects him as an enchanter. This is a matter of joy for him. But on the other hand, the heroes' party had dismissed him as weak because his support magic proved to be weaker than Selma's in joint trade. After all that, he doesn't want to return to being an enchanter. After some thought, he thanks her for the offer but says he has other plans. Just then, Sophia interrupts and reveals that she'll also be going on the instructional exploration. Smiling, she says she'd be delighted if Orhin came along. She innocently asks, please, please, please. Seeing Sophia's beautiful face, Orhin blushes. Still, he doesn't immediately say yes. He says he'll think about it but makes one thing clear, he's changed his class to swordsman. He feels Selma respects him greatly as an enchanter. But if he goes, he'll go as a swordsman. Selma is shocked and asks why. Orhin understands why she's surprised, but he doesn't change his mind. Selma agrees, thinking that if the situation worsens, Orhin will be able to take on the role of in charge again. Selma explains that if he decides to participate, he must arrive at the Silver Rabbit's headquarters the next morning. Orhan agrees. A little while later, Orhan goes to a shop owned by an elderly man. The shop appears to sell healing potions and some magic items. During their conversation, it's revealed that Orhan had made this shop somewhat popular when he was in the party. Because of this, the elderly man's shop is doing very well. Over tea, Orhan reveals that he's no longer part of the heroes' party, so he won't be able to promote them further. But the elderly man tells him that they are grateful for all his help and always will be. Whether he's in the group or not, they know how much hard work Orhan has put in. They say there are many people in the world who need someone like him. They advise him to follow his heart, whether he lives for himself or helps others. They are with him no matter what. Orhan affectionately calls them grandpa and thanks them. The next morning, he returns to the Silver Rabbit's home. He arrives at the quarters. Selma welcomes him and asks him to follow. She says Orhan looks better today. She jokingly asks if he's finally let the burden of leaving the hero's party fall off his shoulders. Orhan replies with a calm smile. And that's how Orhan's adventure begins. After that, when they finally arrive, Vince Briars, leader of the Night Sky Silver Rabbits clan, greets Orhan. Vince says he's already heard a lot about Orhan. Orhan introduces himself calmly and says it's an honor to meet the leader of such a famous clan. But Vince immediately lightens the mood. He tells Orhan that Orhan needn't be so nervous because he's heard that Orhan has now left the hero's party. So now there's no need to waste time talking about formalities or trying to understand each other's intentions. Orhan agrees and gets straight to the point. He says he wants to hear all the details about this teaching expedition first. Vince asks Selma to explain. Everyone sits down, and Selma explains that their plan is to reach floors 1 to 51 of the Great Dungeon in just 3 days. Specifically, the first day will be floor 21, the second day floor 36, and so on. The scene changes, and we are shown a brief scene from the past. Selma tells Vince that Orhan has left the hero's party. Hearing this, Vince says that this is a huge loss for them because without Orhan, the hero's party will no longer be as strong. Selma agrees, saying that Orhan's support magic had brought them to a level they probably never would have otherwise reached. Even though Orhan's support magic effects are a little weak, his casting speed is amazing, at least 4 times faster than Selma's. Furthermore, he used many original spells. Now we return to the present. Orhan understands that there are 10 rookie parties and 5 escorts, including him and Selma. The plan is that the rookie parties will take turns handling the monsters, and if anything unusual happens, the escorts will handle it. Selma praises his understanding and asks if he has any other questions. Orhan asks why there are only 5 escorts. Selma and Vince exchange glances. Orhan says that with such an insane schedule, several A-ranked parties are usually brought in to reduce risk. After some hesitation, Selma says that their goal is to get the rookies to floor 51 and that a little extra stress will help them grow. But Orhan understands that this isn't the real reason. This mission is very important to them, and there must be some other reason they won't tell him, an outsider. So Orhan doesn't ask any more questions and agrees to help. Vince thanks him and tells him that he'll get 2 gold pieces in advance and 10 if the mission is successful. Orhan hesitates a bit and asks if that's too much, considering it's a year's worth. Selma simply says that they value him just as much. Selma says that they'll meet outside the dungeon tomorrow. Orhan is both surprised and happy, so he decides to do his best. The next day, he prepares for an expedition with the clan to the entrance of the Great Dungeon. Selma and Sophia greet Orhan as soon as they see him. Orhan notices that Sophia's outfit is different from last time. He assumes it's the rookie's uniform and compliments her. Sophia is overjoyed to see him and thanks him. Selma's expression immediately turns scary when she sees her little sister so happy and shy. Defensively, Selma asks if Orhan knows how to flirt with ladies and if he has a girlfriend. Orhan quickly denies it and explains that there were some female members at the hero's party, so maybe he's used to talking to them. Hearing this, Selma immediately calms down because they all lived in the same mansion. Sophia, out of curiosity, asks where Orhan lives now. Orhan tells her that he's currently staying in a hotel but will have to find a place soon. Hearing this, Selma freaks out again and asks Sophia if she's planning to visit him. Sophia nervously denies and says she was just curious. After regaining her composure, Selma asks Orhan why he's standing so far away from the group. Orhan says he's an outsider and rookies will be nervous seeing him. Selma assumes everyone is upset and asks for his help to lighten the mood. She asks Sophia to go to her group and introduce Orhan to the rest of the escort. Selma assures everyone that Orhan is strong. The members also agree that Orhan must be strong because Selma's praising him so much means something. Orhan, a little nervous, tells them not to get their expectations too high. But Selma smiles and tells them not to be aggressive and introduces herself as a frontline attacker. The other members then introduce themselves. One is named Anthem, a defender. Another is Bernard, also a defender. And finally Cassie, a healer. He notices that he is the only attacker and Selma is the only in charge. This is a balanced party. But if he hadn't come, someone would have had to play a double role. He feels something is definitely wrong. Selma sees the doubt on his face and remembers an earlier conversation with Vince where he says he can understand the pain of losing such a strong attacker. So he asks if Orhan isn't an in-charge like him. Given the party's balance, he can't make Orhan part of the first group. Vince says he still feels the pain of losing his old partner. Selma understands that they are still trapped and can't recover what they lost. That's why Selma asked Orhan for help. But Orhan chooses to be the attacker himself. If Orhan can't act as a frontline attacker, everything won't go as planned. Selma hides her emotions and tells everyone that they have 3 days of hard work ahead. She then asks Orhan to meet rookies. A little while later, Selma greets rookies and gives a speech. She explains that today they will begin their journey to floor 51. Rookies becomes worried, but Selma reassures them, saying they have no need to be afraid because a powerful helper is with them. She introduces Orhan and reveals that he has been to floor 94, where she herself has not been. Rookies is shocked to hear this and completely pales because they did not expect this. Selma adds that if they all want to become dungeon explorers, they should know that Orhan has been a member of the Heroes Party and knows the dungeon better than anyone. The rookies get excited, but Orhan is scared. What is going on? The rookies were already in high spirits. Selma then tells everyone to relax before going inside. Orhan asks why she was exaggerating so much. Selma explains that she was just telling the truth. But Orhan is afraid that this title might become a problem for him. Selma asks him to escort Group 10 because it has the best rookies. Orhan agrees, but he finds it strange that such an awesome team is being given to him. After a while, he meets his team members and introduces himself. He notices that Sophia is also in the same group and there are only 3 members. Orhan thinks that 3-member rookie parties are quite rare, and the fewer the number, the greater the risk. Meanwhile, a rookie starts boasting that no one can match him. Orhan thinks that if his attitude continues like this, he will face a lot of problems in the future. Orhan then asks everyone to introduce themselves. The first rookie is Logan. He is also the leader of Group 10. He is an enchanter and dreams of surpassing Selma in the future. The next girl, Caroline, introduces herself as a defender. Orhan asks if her armor is too low for a defender and where is her armor. Caroline asks why everyone is asking her this today. She explains that she is a defender but doesn't use armor. And he realizes that she is a dodge-type defender, meaning she distracts the monster by jumping around. Now Sophia introduces herself. She will attack from behind and is a caster. Orhan feels a strange comfort with her. The mission begins, and as they enter the dungeon, everyone becomes quiet. Caroline asks Orhan why someone from the Heroes Party is on this mission. I mean, their clan is kind of like an enemy of his party. Right. Orhan reminds Selma and says he used to be a member. That means he's no longer a member. Caroline, shocked, asks why he left the party. Orhan becomes irritated and clearly states that it's a personal matter. Caroline, not wanting to disrupt the atmosphere, quickly changes the topic and asks if Orhan and Sophia know each other. Orhan asks why she's asking. Caroline explains that Sophia had previously said that an amazing guy was coming with them. Hearing this, Sophia becomes a little nervous, but then accepts that the amazing guy she was talking about is Orhan. She explains that Orhan saved her life. He was very strong and said that he had previously been a part of the Heroes Party. Sophia further explains that her sister Selma also said that if Orhan was with them, they wouldn't have to worry at all. Caroline smiles and tells Sophia that then she doesn't have to be so nervous because she has a hero with her. Orhan doesn't say anything. He knows he's no hero, but he also understands that Caroline told Sophia this to motivate her to act. Thinking about this, Orhan realizes that perhaps Caroline is more caring for others than she appears. After a while, as Orhan expected, some monsters start coming towards them. But Orhan has already set trap spells on the move. These trap spells activate without any problem, and the monsters are destroyed on the spot. The special thing about these spells is that the enemy cannot detect them until they are activated. So this is the safest and most efficient way to handle monsters coming from behind without slowing down the party. They don't have much time, and Orhan doesn't want to waste time in pointless battles, so he keeps moving and casting trap spells. After some time, the group reaches the floor beast. Now Orhan begins to carefully observe how the rookies are fighting. This is where he confirms that they will be a good fit for the rest of the teaching expedition. Initially, he thought Logan was just a big, arrogant new kid, but he has real skill as an enchanter. If he continues to perform like this in long battles, he could easily work in an A-rank party, meaning he's truly a genius. Yes, he's still weak at giving orders, a crucial skill for an enchanter, but with experience, he'll improve. Now Orhan turns his attention to Caroline. Her speed is exactly what one would expect from a dodge-type defender. But there are two major problems. The first problem is that as soon as she sees a monster, she runs straight at it. As a defender, she should approach the enemy, but Orhan is frightened by her approach. The second problem is that she only uses 2 dodges. These weapons are perfect for her fighting style, but they lack destructive power for this party. Finally, he looks at Sophia. She's not as impressive as the other two, but she's already much stronger than a normal rookie. She's a bit passive. But as she becomes comfortable with the party members, this will change. She doesn't lack for newcomers, so Orhan is excited to see her grow. A little while later, the remaining escorts and rookies defeat the floor boss. As planned, they now head to floor 21. Selma tells them to register their floor on the guild card and that the first day's mission is complete for them, marking the end of the first day. After exiting the Great Dungeon, Selma asks Orhan if he enjoyed being an escort. Orhan says that, as Selma said, Group 10 has a lot of potential, but the problem is that they aren't working as a team yet. He's particularly worried about Caroline. Selma laughs nervously and says that Caroline has improved a lot. Hearing this, Orhan wonders what she was like before if this is improvement. They then say goodbye and part ways, promising to meet the next morning. The next morning, Orhan is completely devastated when he reads the newspaper. On the front page, his eyes go straight to Oliver. The article is about the heroes' party and reveals that they now have a new enchanter, meaning that Orhan's expulsion from the party has now become public knowledge. Angered and pained, Orhan slams the newspaper down on the desk, saying he has no idea how much this hurts him. He wishes they had at least stayed until the teaching expedition was over. He fears that if the rookies read this paper, it might change his image in their eyes. Orhan picks up his coat and thinks there's no point in dwelling on it, so he leaves the hotel and heads towards the meeting point. But while walking through town, a girl suddenly calls his name and he stops immediately. He recognizes the voice. Looking back, he sees Luna, a member of the heroes' party. He stands there completely shocked. Luna herself comes to him and says it's been a long time. Even when Orhan was in the heroes' party, when the other members were distancing themselves from him, Luna always treated him the same. On the day he was banished, Luna was out of the house running errands. He knows that if Luna had been there, things might have been different. He gives a slight smile, realizing that he still has some attachments to the heroes' party. He asks her if she needs anything, but then Luna surprises him. She says she wants Orhan to return to the heroes' party because they need his strength. Orhan isn't surprised. He knew Luna might say that, but he tells her that he doesn't think the rest of the party wants that either. Especially after today's article, Luna says she wasn't aware of any article and is making this request on her own. Still, she assures Orhan that if he comes back, she'll try her best to convince everyone. This surprises Orhan. Luna is really serious, but then his face turns sad because he knows it's too late. Orhan says that after the article is published, he can't go back, and in truth, he doesn't even want to. Luna sadly apologizes and says that she didn't see today's paper. Still, she takes his hand and reminds him that they promised to clear the Great Dungeon together. This touches Orhan's heart. He jerks his hand away and says that he made a promise to Oliver and that Oliver was the one who kicked him out. So now that promise will never be fulfilled. Luna has nothing left to say. Before she can say anything, Orhan apologizes and leaves without a backward glance. Luna stands there alone. Deep down, Orhan wished that the three of them could stay the same forever and fulfill the promise they made as children. But now there's no way back. There's no place for him there. Everything is over for him. It means it's too late. After that, he sets out for the Great Dungeon for the expedition. But his mind is still stuck on what he read in today's newspaper. The article clearly stated that he was banned from the heroes' party because he was weak. Although Orhan had foreseen that this would happen someday, he still couldn't understand why it happened just now. He wondered how many people would trust him after reading this article. Especially after Selma's words about him, all the rookies involved in the expedition were discussing this very topic. Logan remembers that Orhan had said yesterday that he left the party on his own. But if he was banned, then the truth must be something else. Finally, he arrives there, and the way the children greet him makes him realize that the atmosphere today is completely different from yesterday. Selma had praised him very highly yesterday, so he could understand their confusion. Just then, Selma comes running up to him and apologizes. She says she had no idea about the newspaper article. Orhan smiles and says she has no need to apologize. He reminds Selma that if she can't control herself, their teaching expedition will fail. Selma insists that he overused her yesterday to inspire the new recruits, but she should have been more careful. Orhan reassures her that he's perfectly fine. He clarifies that he should have apologized because he didn't clear things up and that's what caused the trouble. He tells Selma that he'll back everyone up during their trip to dungeon. So she should keep her cool as always. Then Bernard says that it's still true that Orhan reached floor 94 and that in itself is incredible. Kathy and Anthem agree and say they have no worries. Selma also agrees that he was perfectly fine yesterday. Orhan decides to give them the same performance today. He heads to his assigned group and greets everyone. Sophia immediately says that today's newspaper article is full of lies. Caroline also agrees and says that it doesn't matter to her. But Logan asks a direct question, is what's written in the article true? Orhan admits that most of it is true. Logan is completely shocked by this. Orhan further explains that if he's asking if he was weak, the answer is yes. Because of this, he's not the hero people expect yet, and he apologizes for not telling them this earlier. Logan begins to wonder what's really going on, but Sophia insists that Orhan was strong. She saw with her own eyes that Orhan defeated dozens of orcs in a single moment, so he couldn't be weak. Orhan thanks her for her trust. He explains that he has enough strength to get them safely to floor 51. He says he's no longer a hero. But as Orhan, an explorer, he swears he'll protect them from all the hardships. He wants them to try their best in Dungeon Dove, just like yesterday. Sophia and Caroline immediately agree, but Logan remains confused and feels a little foolish for getting so excited. As the expedition begins, they head towards floor 21 of the Southern Great Dungeon. Their target today is to reach floor 35. Orhan follows them. He knows that the escorts will no longer provide instructions until the middle floors, i.e. floor 31, will be led by new recruits. Until then, Sophia and Caroline advance, defeat the monsters, and reach floor 29. Orhan praises them and is pleased that they still trust him. After some time, they reach floor 31. From now on, Orhan will be giving orders, so he's on full alert. He stops the group and tells them that he senses monsters ahead. He tells everyone to be ready. The girls obey, but Logan remains silent. Just then, several goblins begin advancing toward them. Orhan gives Caroline orders. To attract the goblins' attention, Caroline, as usual, rushes towards them with daggers. Orhan then tells Sophia to handle the orcs left behind and orders Logan to boost them with support magic. Before the whole thing is over, Logan casts Agility up, Technical up, and Magic up. He thinks Orhan's orders are the same as anyone's. Maybe he's nothing special. Turning his attention to Caroline, Logan sees that Sophia is unable to move due to fear. He remembers that Sophia had previously told him that she was attacked by orcs. She was paralyzed by the trauma. Logan sees that Orhan is doing nothing and thinks that now he has to save Sophia himself because he thinks Orhan is like the other weak enchanters. But at that very moment, Orhan casts Agility down on the orcs. Orc immediately slows down and weakens. Orhan reassures Sophia that she's not alone. He's accompanied by Caroline, Logan, and himself. Sophia regains her composure and casts Fire Javelin. Everyone is shocked, even Orhan, because no one told him Sophia could use advanced magic. Sophia is completely exhausted, but Caroline rushes in and praises her. Orhan also praises her, which makes Sophia happy and quickly recover. Logan watches all this in disbelief. He knows that Orhan put the debuff on Orc. Now his banishment from the heroes' party becomes even more confusing. Finally, they reach floor 35, where a giant death tarantula awaits them. Logan immediately thinks they won't be able to defeat it, but Orhan remains calm. He orders Logan to cast Agility up and Durable up on Caroline and Magic up on Sophia. Caroline runs towards the tarantula without stopping. Logan tries to stop her. But Orhan tells her to stop and explains that attacking from the front would be disadvantageous. He tells Caroline to jump and slash at the tarantula's back. Caroline obeys and easily attacks the tarantula. Orhan tells her to keep the tarantula's attention, and Orhan explains that it's venomous, so it's important to dodge attacks. Logan continuously casts support magic, allowing Caroline to dodge every attack and attract it to himself. Orhan then tells Sophia to pin the tarantula down. Sophia immediately casts Arrow Cutter. In an instant, all 4 of the tarantula's legs are cut off. Tarantula falls to the ground. Caroline screams with joy, but Orhan warns them. The fight isn't over yet. He tells Logan to cast Strength up and Technical up on Caroline. Without questioning his words, Logan follows his instructions and uses his support magic on Caroline. Suddenly, Death Tarantula attacks and shoots its spider webs directly at Caroline. In an instant, Caroline is pinned. Logan panics as Caroline is slowly pulled toward Tarantula's mouth, but Orhan remains unfazed. He instructs Caroline to cut the webs with her dagger, as she is now stronger than ever. Caroline tries to use all her strength to move her arm so that the dagger can cut the webs. Meanwhile, a doubt arises in Logan's mind. He wonders if Orhan gave Caroline such orders in advance because he knew something like this was going to happen. Orhan then immediately tells Sophia to prepare Rock Arrow and instructs Logan to give her another spell now, as the previous one is about to expire. Logan agrees without delay, but Caroline's condition worsens. She becomes even more panicked and screams that she can't cut the webs. Orhan observes the entire situation. He knows that Logan can only maintain 3 spells at a time, thus he has no other option. Orhan then uses Sharpen Up himself. This spell instantly enhances Caroline's daggers, and thanks to this boost, Caroline finally manages to cut the spider's webs. The moment Caroline breaks free, Sophia fires a rock arrow and the death tarantula is hit in one go and they defeated the tarantula. Caroline, as always, runs to Sophia, overjoyed and screaming. Orhan praises Logan and says that all this was possible because of his support magic. Logan thanks him. Orhan then tells everyone that it's time to return. When everyone arrives outside the dungeon, Selma tells them that tomorrow is their last day, so they need to rest well today so they can be fully prepared for tomorrow. Before Orhan leaves, Bernard and Anthem approach him and invite him to go out for something to eat. Orhan is a little surprised because he didn't expect them to want to join him. But he's pleased that they're not bothered by him at all. He accepts the invitation, thinking that they haven't had much chance to talk during their exploration. And this could be a good opportunity. Here Logan asks Sophia about the incident when Orhan saved her. Sophia explains that it happened 3 days ago in a newly discovered dungeon. Logan asks if Orhan was completely alone at that time. Sophia says yes, so Logan asks her to describe how Orhan was fighting at that time. Sophia is initially confused about what to say, so Logan asks if she remembers what spells Orhan used or what his fighting style was like. Sophia tries to remember and reveals that he used an incredible wind blast against the orcs. She also saw Orhan power up his sword with support magic. Logan immediately assumes it must have been Sharpening Up because it's a support spell used on weapons, not people. Caroline excitedly interrupts and reveals that Orhan used the same spell today. His daggers became much sharper in a second, much to her surprise. Logan then asks Sophia if Orhan was using a sword at the time. Sophia says yes and explains that he was moving forward, cutting down orcs. Now Logan fully understands that Orhan is an expert not only in magic, but also in sword combat. Sophia further explains that she herself doesn't know why, but Orhan said that after leaving the hero's party, he chose to become a frontline attacker. Logan is very surprised to hear this. He immediately says that it doesn't make sense because Orhan was acting like a perfect enchanter. Remembering Orhan's performance in the dungeon today, Logan realizes that he misunderstood Orhan that morning. When he learned that Orhan had been banned from the hero's party, he was disappointed and angry as if Orhan had shattered his expectations. But the truth was that during the fight with Orhan had secretly used Agility Down, a debuff that reduces the abilities of enemies. Logan had heard that Selma also rarely uses such spells because they are so difficult, but Orhan used it with ease. Then, on floor 35 they fought with Death Tarantula. This was the first fight where Logan understood the importance of formation. If the defender distracts the enemy, the attacker and supporter can focus on their next move. This is the right way to fight. Orhan knew exactly when the party's buffs would end. He even predicted the Death Tarantula's final attack when Caroline was trapped in the webs. Orhan was reading the flow of battle and giving perfect orders. He was on a much higher level than everyone else. Even after knowing all this, Logan doesn't understand why Orhan wants to be a frontline attacker. Caroline asks Sophia if Orhan is even strong as a frontline attacker. Sophia replies that yes, he is. She reminds him that, as she told him that morning, Orhan had taken down dozens of orcs in an instant. Caroline is very impressed and says that she also wants to become as strong as him soon. Sophia agrees and assures her that if she gives her best, she will definitely become strong too. Logan falls silent again. Thinking about Orhan, he realizes that this is the sign of a true genius, but he isn't about to give up. He decides to learn everything he can from Orhan and become strong himself. Caroline breaks his reverie, saying that he has a scary look on his face and asks if he's tired. Logan quickly recovers and says he was just motivating himself for tomorrow. Caroline gets excited and starts motivating herself too. The scene shifts to a restaurant. Bernard and Anthem tell Orhan that they'll be paying him today so he can eat whatever he wants. He thanks them. Bernard jokes that he must have partied a lot since he was at the hero's party. He explains that it wasn't like that at all. He mostly did hard work and busy work, so he didn't have time to enjoy himself. Anthem says it's really hard. Bernard says that the newspaper article made things worse because there was no need to write that. Anthem agrees and tells Orhan that he should forget it all. Orhan says that just hearing them say that makes him feel better and thanks them. Anthem mentions that Orhan was an enchanter in the hero's party, but when they first met, he described himself as a frontline attacker. Bernard becomes curious and asks what is really about. Orhan explains that he now uses a sword because he converted after leaving the hero's party. He also reveals that he was originally a swordsman in the hero's party and wanted to be one since childhood. Anthem asks if any of his parents had connections to swordsmen. Orhan explains that his grandfather was a former explorer. A monster once came to their village, and he defeated it with a single sword strike. Seeing that scene, Orhan wanted to become a swordsman. Anthem asks how he became an enchanter. Orhan explains that as the hero's party went to the lower floors, the monsters became stronger, slowing their pace. But the party couldn't understand this and wanted to progress quickly. Enchanters were becoming popular at the time, and because Orhan was a jack of all trades, he was given that role. Anthem says it must have been the right decision for the party as they reached floor 94, but Orhan disagrees. He says it wasn't the right approach. They should have slowed down and strengthened themselves. Bernard and Anthem become confused. Just then, Orhan realizes he's overreacted. He immediately apologizes and changes the topic. He knows the hero's party won't be able to go beyond floor 94, but he doesn't tell them that. Bernard asks what his ideal swordsman would be like. Orhan thinks he would be an amazing jack of all trades who could clear the lower floors single-handedly. That's his goal, and that's why he converted. Bernard and Anthem smile and say they're confident he'll be able to do it. The scene shifts. After arriving home, Caroline and Sophia go to take a shower. Caroline says the teaching expedition ends tomorrow and will say goodbye to Orhan. Sophia knows this, but she still can't accept that after tomorrow she won't see Orhan. She wants Orhan to stay with the night sky rabbits. Caroline suggests she ask him because if she asks, he might agree. Sophia says Orhan isn't like her sister, and asking him would be selfish. Still, she feels sad thinking that she might never see him again, so she decides that she'll ask him the next time they meet. The next day, many people gather outside Great Dungeon. Then, everyone's attention falls on the famous hero's party arriving. Oliver, with his head held high, walks forward with the other members. We also see Luna, who looks a little sad. Meanwhile, Orhan is thinking that today is the last day of his expedition, and he knows very well that today will be his last time seeing this place. Just then, Group 10 approaches them. This time, Logan seems more excited than before. Caroline says that if the mission is successful and they receive a reward, she'll be very happy. Logan asks her if she needs anything. Caroline confidently says yes and reminds Sophia of their previous conversation. Sophia understands what Caroline is talking about but panics and is unable to say anything. Caroline insists that no matter what, Sophia also wants something from him. Orhan asks her what it is. Sophia tries to muster up some courage, but Selma interrupts and asks for their help and the conversation ends. Meanwhile, some rookies are talking among themselves about the new hero's party. They say they heard that the hero's party is going to the deepest part of the dungeon today and are going to start directly from floor 92 because they want to see how their teamwork is as a new party. Orhan overhears them, but he finds it a little strange. He thinks if they wanted to see teamwork, they should have started from the lower floors, not the deeper ones. But that's not his problem now, so he ignores it. The scene shifts to floor 92 of the Southern Great Dungeon. Here, Oliver tells everyone that it's time for the hero's party's first adventure, as the loser is no longer holding them back. He's talking about Orhan here. They now have a new member, and their final goal is to clear the Southern Great Dungeon. The new enchanter thanks her for joining the party. Derek tells her to show them what she can do. Annalie tells Derek that everything will be fine because she's not the jack of all trades who is holding them back. Luna remains silent throughout. But Oliver is confident that after this dungeon, perhaps even Luna will understand that he was right. We are now shown a memory from 2 days earlier. He's talking about Orhan. The new enchanter introduces herself and reveals her name as Philly Carpenter. Oliver reveals that she's a skilled adventurer. The one who cleared the first floor of the Western Great Tantion will now be the first real incumbent at their party. Philly thanks everyone for the welcome party. Derek says that now that Orhan is gone, they should have a proper party. He also explains that he was shocked after looking at the accounts because they had so much money. Annalie says that she doesn't understand why Orhan was so stingy because money is useless unless it's used. Philly, a little hesitant, asks if the money wasn't for party activities. But Oliver interrupts and says that Orhan's been talking enough because this is Philly's welcome party. Everyone starts to laugh, but Luna suddenly appears and says she needs to check something. She sees Philly and asks, "Who is that?" but Oliver tells her to continue. Luna explains that she heard Orhan is now going to the Great Dungeon with the Night Sky Silver Rabbits. Oliver is completely shocked by this. Annalie immediately becomes defensive and asks how he can leave with the Silver Rabbits in just 3 days. Derek also asks whether Orhan still considers himself an enchanter. After all the talk, Luna doesn't understand what they're talking about. She asks what happened while she was gone. Oliver tells her to just stay in time. But Annalie interrupts and tells her that the jack of all trades, Orhan, left the party 3 days ago. Luna is shocked by this. Oliver nods. This saddens Luna. She feels that Orhan has finally given up. Derek immediately points out that Luna is acting as if she's been abandoned when in fact it was he who kicked him out. Luna's expression immediately changes. Oliver confirms this without regret and introduces Luna to their new in-charge and Orhan's replacement, Philly Carpenter. Luna calmly says that she thought she had made it clear that she was against replacing Orhan. Oliver says that Orhan is no longer strong enough for their level. Luna doesn't listen to him. In her opinion, Orhan was the core of this party. They only got this far because of him. It's impossible to move forward without him. Annalie says that even though Luna considers him special, others don't, and it's too late. Complaining won't change anything. Despite her frustration, Luna accepts that it's really too late. Oliver is glad she won't argue anymore. Oliver explains the immediate plan as this will be Philly's first mission with them. So in 2 days, they'll test their teamwork on floor 92. If all goes well, they'll go to floor 94. Luna immediately opposes this. She clearly states that she doesn't want to die. Even though Philly is a skilled enchanter, they should first coordinate on the lower floors. The others don't understand her. Derek reminds them that they've already been to floor 93, so floor 92 should be easy. Luna reminds them that there's a black dragon there, and last time they barely won. Derek says that this happened only because of Orhan. Annalie also says that now that Jack of all trades is gone, everything will be easier. Luna complains that the black dragon is much more powerful than them. Oliver interrupts, saying that their goal is simply to test teamwork, not to fight the dragon. But Derek clearly states that they will fight him. Luna then complains that going to the lowest floors without Orhan is too risky. Oliver silences her, saying that the decision has been made and she can't refuse. Now back to the present. Here the battle has begun on floor 92. Oliver blocks the monster's attack and attacks himself. But he notices that his sword is unable to damage the monster. He somehow avoids the attack, but his body begins to feel heavy. He realizes that as the bubbles disappear, it feels like weights are hanging all over his body. Oliver asks Philly why the bubbles keep disappearing. Philly panics and apologizes, saying she still hasn't figured out his fighting style. Oliver is shocked because Orhan understood everything within an hour on the first day. Derek blocks the monster's attack with his shield, but it's much stronger than expected and almost hits Annalie. Annalie yells at Derek, asking what he's doing. Derek thinks that he used to block such attacks easily before. But what's happening to him now? Meanwhile, Annalie attacks with Fire Bullet, but her spell has no effect on the monster at all. The attack is so weak that even Oliver thinks she's joking. But Annalie says she's casting as usual. Oliver asks Philly to buff Annalie. Philly explains that she's already buffed. Oliver asks to buff again. Philly does, but Annalie's spells remain weak. Eventually, Annalie has to flee. Oliver can't understand how this could be, as Philly's support magic should be more powerful than Orhan's. The monster continues to attack. Derek is barely able to block the attacks. Oliver quickly tells Annalie to take position to the monster's side, but the monster easily notices her and immediately attacks her. Annalie panics, as this has never happened before. But Oliver doesn't back down and tells Philly to observe and warn the monster's next attack. Philly says it's impossible. But Oliver reminds her that the enchanter's job is to keep an eye on everything and understand the flow of the battle. Philly apologizes and says that right now she can't do anything other than support magic. Annalie, without thinking, calls her useless, and Oliver wonders what to do because Derek and Annalie aren't as strong as usual, and he isn't either because he can't unleash his sword's power at all. Theoretically, Philly's support magic has massively increased his physical abilities, so he can't understand why they're so weak. Luna isn't sure she still doesn't understand. Oliver asks her what actually happened to them. Annalie is angry that Luna hasn't told them yet, even though they're all members of the same party. Luna is left with no choice and is about to explain why they are weak. But everyone freezes as a black dragon suddenly appears. Oliver can't believe his eyes, as the black dragon shouldn't come out of the boss area. As soon as the black dragon lands in front of them, Luna immediately says they should get out of here. Derek insists and refuses, and Annalie agrees, confidently stating that she will defeat it. Luna warns that they can't defeat it. But Oliver says there's no time to argue and reminds them that they've already defeated it once, so they can do it again. Luna tries to stop them, but the group starts fighting before she can stop them. Derek tries to block the first attack with his shield, but the impact of the dragon's fire is so powerful that he falls instantly. Luna quickly uses healing magic, and Oliver asks Philly why she didn't buff Derek. Only then does she realize that Philly is completely frozen from the shock and unresponsive. Oliver becomes even more confused as to how an enchanter, even more powerful than Orhan, could react like this. Annalie wastes no time and uses a fire javelin, but the spell doesn't even scratch the dragon. The black dragon attacks it with fire breath. Even though it tries to hide behind the rocks, the fire destroys everything in seconds. Annalie is defeated within moments, and Oliver still doesn't understand what's happening to everyone. Luna warns him that they must retreat and tells him to control himself. Otherwise, at this speed, they will soon be killed. The black dragon begins to prepare its most powerful breath attack. Luna tells Oliver to take some time because they must escape immediately. Oliver reacts quickly and wakes Philly, causing her to recover from the shock. As soon as she responds, he asks her to give him a buff. Then she uses magical convergence on Oliver. Oliver prepares the attack, but Luna warns him that she needs more magical convergence. He simply says there's no time and fires divine flash at the black dragon. Oliver's attack collides with the dragon's breath, causing a massive explosion that knocks it back. However, the black dragon is undamaged, and Oliver feels defeated and confused. Luna approaches him, but Oliver simply asks her what they should do now. He's really scared. But Luna reminds him that he's the party leader and it's his responsibility to make the decision. The dragon begins to prepare for attack again. Luna says they have no choice but to use the fickle gate. It's a magical item meant for emergency escape and can only be used within the dungeon. It forcibly links the current location to another location. Oliver hesitates. But Philly explains that it will randomly take them to another boss area between the upper and lower floors. Meaning, they'll have to fight another floor boss as soon as they exit the gate. Luna says that this is better than fighting the Black Dragon, the boss of the deepest levels. Oliver finally makes his decision, and everyone gathers around him. As the gate opens, the Black Dragon chases them and blocks the path with fire. The gate suddenly enlarges and the Black Dragon enters, then the gate closes. They are all left completely alone. Everyone is speechless. But Derek laughs and says they escaped. Luna scolds him and says it couldn't have been worse. Oliver realizes that this means the Black Dragon is now in another boss area. Luna laments that many adventurers are about to unwittingly fall victim to the Black Dragon's attack. Philly says she didn't know a floor boss could use Fickle Gate. Luna says they need to go to the guild and report it and request a forced teleport. Forced teleport is a function found in guild cards. This means that guild members can forcefully teleport anyone, and that's their last option. Oliver hesitates because this would result in a guild penalty. He then admits that it's time to not worry about the time penalty. Luna stops him and asks if he'll spare Annalie and Derek. Oliver finds himself in an even more difficult situation. So he waits while Luna uses healing magic. She says that after the forced teleport, they must immediately fight the Black Dragon. Oliver agrees, but Luna says that they must switch Philly and Orhan. Derek refuses, but Luna explains that she was already going to explain why they were weak. The truth is, they didn't become weak. They're the same as they always were. Oliver is shocked to hear this. Luna explains that Divine Flash was weak because she didn't have Orhan. Luna then continues, explaining that enhancement magic only works for a maximum of 3 minutes on any given person, and the magician must perform the same magic on the same person for 3 minutes. They have to be enhanced again before it can happen. Otherwise, the enhancement breaks. Philly then explains the situation further. She explains that they all have very high magical resistance. That's why Philly's magic doesn't last even 2 minutes on them, and when it's Oliver's turn, the enhancement doesn't last even 1 minute on him. At this, Luna tells Oliver that Orhan handled the enhancement very well. Meaning, Orhan knew how to maintain the magic on Oliver and for how long. But Oliver responds that Philly can do it too, because in his opinion, Philly is more talented than Orhan. Then, Luna reveals a very important fact. She explains that Orhan worked very hard to create the original magic. Oliver is completely shocked to learn that Orhan himself created the original magic. However, despite this, Orhan is still considered very weak compared to other magicians. This is when Oliver understands the situation. He realizes that Orhan was needed to use the magic he just used, Divine Flash. After listening to Luna's story, the three of them understand that without Orhan, they are actually much weaker. Oliver also realizes the huge mistake he has made, but it is too late. As they run out of the dungeon, the people standing outside look at them and think that perhaps they are doing well because of the new enchanter. But Oliver thinks they no longer deserve to be called heroes, and he refuses to accept that without Orhan, he is nothing. Meanwhile, Orhan and his assigned group are preparing for the final day of the expedition. They have no idea that the Black Dragon is roaming free. Their goal for the final day is to clear the dungeons from floor 36 to floor 50. The plan was clear. Once they reached floor 51, they would use their teleportation crystals and return directly, ending the day of the expedition. According to the plan, they would fight monsters that the new recruits couldn't handle, and all the shapes would engage in boss fights. Everything seemed to be a duplicity. But for some reason, Orhan had a terrible feeling about the Great Dungeon today. At the same time, he notices Logan staring at him and thinks he might be the cause of this strange feeling. Caroline asks Orhan what kind of monsters they'll see today, as she's very excited to fight them. Orhan sighs slightly and reminds her that she can't just go after monsters every time. He explains that she should remember that she's a defender. Caroline says that means everyone else will have to work extra hearts. That's why she wants to fight on the front lines. That's why she asks Orhan for fighting advice. Orhan warns her that everyone has a limit as an individual. He explains that she shouldn't think of herself as a lone fighter, but as part of a team, especially since she's new. Caroline complains that Orhan isn't fun at all. But Logan interrupts and says that Orhan is actually doing a good thing by giving him advice. He even cites the example of the famous Albert, who always said that working together is important. Orhan understands that he's talking about Albert Sensible, who was the undisputed ace of the Night Sky Silver Rabbits. Orhan heard that he was killed fighting the Black Dragon on floor 92 last year. But Logan clearly states that Albert is still a hero to the Silver Rabbits. Caroline further explains that he died saving a comrade, when in reality, it was the defender's responsibility to save him. Caroline says that Albert knew that if he died, everyone's smiles would vanish and nothing would be left. That's why he believes it's better to keep the people he's supposed to protect as far away from himself. Because if he fights alone on the front lines, the others won't be in danger. Orhan immediately notices the sadness on her face. As an outsider, he feels it's best not to interfere too much. So he simply says that they're all counting on him today. Hearing this, Caroline returns to her cheerful demeanor. Just then, Sophia tells Orhan that she wants to hear something from him. She wants to know what's wrong with her and what she needs to become stronger. Orhan is about to respond when Logan immediately says that he also wants to know what he needs to do to become stronger. Finally, the group enters the dungeon from floor 36. Selma reminds Orhan that they have to be extra vigilant today. She also says that it seems like his group has taken a liking to him. Orhan admits that he was a little upset after the newspaper article, but now it seems they've accepted him. Selma explains that both Logan and Caroline are a little difficult to handle. But their future is bright, so Orhan has to take care of them. Then she brings up Albert's topic and explains how much of a blow his death was for them. That's what led the heroes' party to conquer the Great Dungeon. Orhan says that the Black Dragon was very tough for them too, and they could have lost someone just like they lost Albert. Selma says that Albert was someone they could always count on. That's why filling his place won't be easy. Orhan says that he hopes they find someone good. Still, she asks him what he thinks. Orhan clearly says that a party doesn't need two enchanters, especially when one of them is the continent's best innkeeper. Selma assumes their clan leader said the same thing, but he wanted to come with them as a swordsman, so she'll see what he can do during the floor boss battle. Then, when they reach floor 40, Selma tells everyone that from here on, they'll split into groups and meet just before the floor boss. Caroline says that Group 10 feels a little lonely being alone. Logan says that it means there are high expectations of them. Sophia says she's feeling a little nervous. Orhan explains that there are many different paths in the dungeon, so they'll have to split up and learn to find the floor boss. Caroline says that she doesn't like the idea of getting lost here. Orhan explains that this is why it's important to gather information in advance. Adventurers go on repeated expeditions. They map the floors and share information. This is why the larger clans have an advantage. Caroline says that then she'll have to share information with them because Orhan has gone to the deepest level. Logan agrees and asks about the lower floors and the deepest floors. Orhan explains that the lower floors start at floor 76. Orhan knows that floor 40 isn't usually like this. That eerie feeling returns. It seems as if the monsters are scared of something. Caroline gets on board and starts making loud noises. Just then, a monster appears and she immediately attacks it. Orhan tries to stop her, but she doesn't listen. He immediately casts agility down on the monster. Because of this debuff, Caroline easily defeats the monster. Meanwhile, the hero's party meets with the guildmaster. The guildmaster asks Oliver what actually happened in the dungeon. Oliver remains completely silent. Luna then steps forward and tells the guildmaster that they want permission to force teleport. The guildmaster is surprised and asks if Luna knows what she's asking for. He explains that force teleport costs a lot and can only be used in emergencies. Luna tells him that the floor boss of floor 92, the Black Dragon, has probably gone somewhere to the upper, middle, or lower floors. She explains that the Black Dragon flew through a fickle gate, making it impossible to determine where it landed. They also didn't know that a floor boss could use magic items. This makes it even more difficult to predict when and where the dragon will appear. Luna also says that some adventurer may have already encountered it. That's why they want to force teleport immediately to save all the lives trapped in the dungeon. Then, a woman named Eleonora interrupts and reminds them that according to the rules, a conference must be held first. But Luna says there's no time for that because the people in the dungeon don't even know what happened. Meanwhile, Logan tells Orhan that he wants to learn more about Debs. Orhan warns him in advance that Debs are very difficult. He explains that Debs that weaken the enemy are advanced support magic. He reminds him that Debs are more influenced by the target's status than Debs. This means that it's important to fully understand each monster's magic resistance and tune the spell accordingly. He also explains that Debs don't have much effect on bosses and powerful monsters found below floor 61. That's why even advanced adventurers don't typically use them. Logan realizes he's not ready for this yet. Orhan advises him that his first priority should be mastering his buffs and gaining more experience. Orhan then decides to show them a fun way to use magic. He tells the three kids to look behind them. As they turn, they see two wolves running straight toward them. But before the kids can react, the wolves fall into traps set by Orhan and are killed. Orhan explains that it's called trap magic and he's been using it since day one. Logan had no idea. Orhan explains that if the risk of being attacked from behind is reduced, the entire party can fully focus on the enemies in front. He also explains that traps can be used to limit enemy paths and turn the battlefield to one's advantage. This is the true role of an enchanter. Logan happily agrees and is completely elated that Orhan is the enchanter he aspires to be. Back at the guild master finally decides to hold a conference and announces that preparations for the teleportation will begin with force. He explains that the spell is so large that every adventurer in the dungeon can be teleported. Because of this, it will take a considerable time to create the spell and prepare the mana. One of the guild leaders tells Oliver that he will be solely responsible for this. Annalie and Derek protest, saying it's not their fault, but this only angers the guild heads even more. They can't believe such people call themselves heroes. The guild master silences them and says that now is not the time to debate, but to focus on the spell as the stakes are high. Meanwhile, Orhan decides to teach Sophia something. He tells her about parallel construction, that is, creating two or more spells simultaneously. He explains that this is a necessary skill for every advanced caster and that with practice, it's not that difficult. Orhan explains that anyone can create two spells simultaneously, and some people can even create dozens of spells in parallel. He explains that there are many monsters in the deep dungeon that cannot be defeated with a single special rank spell. Even if she casts spells in chains, they take a long time to prepare, leaving the caster completely powerless during that time. With parallel construction, Sophia can begin casting another spell as soon as the first one is halfway ready. Sophia asks if the monsters on the lower floors are really that strong. Orhan tells her that they can't be defeated with powerful spells alone. Mid-rank spells can also be used in conjunction with the party's attacks. Every spell is useful if magic is used correctly. He also explains that Sophia is already strong enough to fight on the middle floors, so she should learn from the elders of the Night Sky Silver Rabbits. Sophia agrees, but with some trepidation says she wants to learn from Orhan instead of her sister Selma. Orhan is shocked and says he can teach her, but only if Selma has no objections. Sophia is delighted and tells Selma that she will definitely obey whatever she says. Meanwhile, the guildmaster and the other heads prepare a spell and begin to recharge it with mana. The guildmaster explains that as soon as the spell is charged, forced teleport will be activated, and the hero's party must defeat the Black Dragon. Annalie and Derek hesitate, saying they haven't fully recovered from their first fight. Luna ignores their complaints and accepts the order but makes a request. Back in the dungeon, Selma tells the new recruits to stay in the safe zone and that the shapes will handle the floor boss. She tells the children that this is a great opportunity for them and they should watch the battle carefully. As the battle against the floor boss begins, Orhan uses the same active defense he taught Caroline. Caroline immediately notices this and says she wants to be a defender like that. The floor boss tries to retreat but is caught in a preset magic trap set by Orhin, blocking his escape. Logan realizes that Orhin knew the boss would retreat. This means Orhin had read the enemy's intentions. Sophia sees Selma using parallel construction, casting 5 spells simultaneously. All the escorts are perfectly coordinated, and the floor boss's fight ends in an instant. Caroline says she's never seen anyone lock down the enemy's movements like this. Logan also agrees that Orhin turned the battle to his advantage, allowing the others to fully focus on the attack. Not a single movement wasted, and that is the true mark of an advanced party. While they celebrate their victory outside, the heroes' party is approaching the dungeon. Oliver asks Luna why she asked them to evacuate the people on floors 40 to 51st. Luna explains that Orhin is probably there. Annalie angrily asks what the jack-of-all-trades has to do with this. Luna reminds them that they are currently the weakest S-rank party and cannot defeat the Black Dragon. Derek is upset by this. But Luna clearly states that they cannot win without Orhin, and everyone's lives depend on him. Meanwhile, the expedition reaches floor 50, where the floor boss is a joint crab. Selma explains that if its claws are cut off, all that remains is to break its shell. Orhin takes this responsibility upon himself. Bernard asks if Orhin can really cut through the strong shell of a joint crab. Orhin draws his sword and uses his original spell, Impact. This spell momentarily increases the power and toughness of his equipment and magic by 100 times. He feels a little guilty about using it, but it's essential to survive in the deep floors. With its help, Selma and the others defeat the floor boss. The expedition finally ends, and Selma tells everyone they're returning home. Orhin feels relieved that his task is complete and nothing bad happened during the entire expedition. But he senses a presence, and a gate opens, and out emerges the same black dragon that sent everyone into panic. The entire group is shocked to see the black dragon. Everyone's bodies freeze, but Orhin wastes no time. He immediately shouts, "Run!" Selma remains frozen in place. She is completely terrified by the black dragon's terrifying pressure. She can't believe it, but she realizes that this is no illusion. The monster standing before them is real. The rest of the escorts are in the same state. Everyone knows that a black dragon is impossible on this floor. The black dragon is a tyrant-class monster that brutally kills weak adventurers. Selma knows she must take command now, but fear holds her back, preventing her from thinking or moving properly. Orhin is no different. He's wondering how they'll get out of this situation alive. The boss of this floor has already been killed. This means they can escape if they somehow get past this monster and reach the teleportation crystal. But then Orhin realizes that he's the only one still able to move. Usually, monsters attack the crowd. If Orhin escapes, the black dragon will attack that crowd, killing everyone else. That's why Orhin realizes he must fight the black dragon, because that's his job, to bring all the new adventurers back alive. He draws his sword and promises himself that he won't betray them. He will keep them safe at any cost. Orhin also realizes that it's pointless to waste time and distraction. The only way to escape is to defeat the black dragon. He loudly shouts at all the chaperones to come to their senses, telling them they must do whatever it takes to save rookies. Selma finally reacts and immediately orders the other chaperones to take up defensive positions. Bernard and Anthem quickly move to the front lines. Selma orders Kathy to cast a magic wand. Kathy immediately creates a protective barrier around everyone, and at that moment the black dragon attacks. Its attack is much more powerful than expected. For a moment, everyone thinks the magic wand might not hold. But then Orhin immediately uses the impact spell and reinforces the barrier. The barrier becomes even stronger and everyone escapes safely. Everyone is amazed that they survived, but they are also confused because no one understands what happened. Salma explains that for a moment she felt as if the magic word had suddenly become stronger, and she quickly realizes that it was Orhin. Sophia becomes concerned when she sees Orhin facing the black dragon alone. Orhin deftly dodges the dragon's rapid physical attacks. He throws a dagger at the dragon's eye, but before the dagger hits, the dragon closes its eyes. Bernard is astonished at how the black dragon knew what he was about to do. Selma explains that it was all deliberate. She explains that Orhin was waiting for the moment when the dragon would close its eyes so he could approach and catch it off guard. At that very moment, Orhin leaps at the black dragon with his sword and uses the impact spell again. This time, just one slash of his sword causes a massive explosion. Everyone freezes in place. Anthem is convinced that the dragon must have fallen after such a powerful attack, but the truth is quite the opposite. The black dragon is still alive and completely unharmed. Orhin tells himself that he should have realized this wouldn't be enough. Selma quickly asks if he's okay. Orhan assures him that he's fine. He tells Selma to focus on protecting the rookies. He will take it upon himself to deal with the Black Dragon. He also says that he has a plan, so there's no need to worry. Selma still hesitates, but Orhan now speaks directly to rookies. He says he knows they're all scared, but they must stay where they are. He promises he won't let anything happen to them. Orhan then puts on a necklace. He grips his sword tightly and runs straight towards the Black Dragon. The Black Dragon attacks him with fire breath. But Orhan suddenly appears somewhere else and distracts the dragon from everyone else. Selma is still wondering if it's right to let her deal with this alone. Because the Black Dragon killed Albert before, and if it happens again, she probably won't be able to take it. Orhan keeps running fast and dodging the Black Dragon's attacks. As soon as he gets some distance, he uses the reflective wall spell and deflects the dragon's fire attack back at its head. The Black Dragon screams loudly. Orhan taunts him, asking if he liked the taste of his own fireballs. Both Caroline and Logan are shocked. They have never seen or heard of such a spell. Orhan explains that is one of the original spells he created. This spell reflects anyone who touches it back towards its wielder. But when the fire dies down, Orhan sees that the Black Dragon is still unharmed. This means he must now take risks. Without wasting any time, Orhan uses the status up spell on himself, which boosts all of his stats. Selma immediately understands what he's doing. Status Up is a high-level spell that increases stats by using 6 types of support magic simultaneously. But Orhan's support magic can only double the spells, which is still not enough. Selma wonders if she should help, but then Orhan doubles the status again, then triples it, but he doesn't stop there. He continues to buff and finally reaches a quintuple status, which is normally considered impossible. Selma is completely speechless at this, because according to the rules, no one can use the same buff multiple times. If a spell is cast again, its duration is reset, but Orhan had cast it 5 times in a row. Meanwhile, the Black Dragon suddenly leaps and whips its tail towards Orhan. But Orhan dodges it in just a second and jumps away with tremendous speed. Everyone is shocked at how he moved so far in such a short time. He was so fast that no one even noticed. Selma immediately realizes that this cannot be simple support magic, because no one has ever seen a spell like this before. This means it must be one of Orhan's original spells. She begins to wonder what secret powers he possesses, but even she herself is at a loss, because no one has ever seen a spell like this before. This means it must be one of Orhan's original spells. She begins to wonder what secret powers he possesses, but even she herself is at a loss. After the jump, Orhan lands on the ground. He realizes that his status has been raised a full 32 times due to the 5 executive casts. But he cannot maintain this for long, as it is like casting 30 different spells simultaneously. This spell puts a tremendous strain on the caster. So he decides he needs to end the fight quickly, and with that thought in mind, he runs towards the Black Dragon again, intent on ending it. The Black Dragon sees him running and whips his tail again, but Orhan jumps just in time. This time the dragon whips his tail through the air, which appears dangerous to everyone nearby. Orhan thinks it was a really cool move. But he uses an ability to create a stepping stone in midair, dodging the attack. Logan wonders if this is magic. But what Orhan did wasn't actually magic. It was a special ability. Meaning, sometimes humans have special abilities, which are powers different from magic or sorcery. His ability is called magical convergence. This allows him to concentrate and materialize magic at a single point. He can also use magic to propel himself forward in the air. This ability can therefore be used for many purposes. Oliver also possesses this ability, but he uses it only for attacks. Orhan uses his magical convergence to propel himself back into the air. He then casts Sharpness Up and Durable Up on his sword so he can attack the Black Dragon. Just before the attack, he uses Impact and ultimately damages the Black Dragon's neck. He succeeds, the Black Dragon falls to the ground. Caroline is astonished to see that Orhan managed to tear through the thick hide, but now Orhan's body is barely holding up. Selma becomes even more worried. She can clearly see that Orhan is not well. Normally, it's impossible to change support magic like this, and on top of that, he's also adding effects to his weapon. In addition, he's repeatedly using his original magic effect. This makes Selma think that Orhan really wants to defeat the Black Dragon alone. Selma doesn't know what she can do in this situation, because even the strongest members of the Night Sky Silver Rabbits couldn't defeat that monster together, so what can she do alone? Now all she can do is protect the new recruits so Orhan can fully concentrate on the fight. Meanwhile, the Black Dragon uses Fire Breath again. Orhan quickly dodges and attacks, jumping straight towards his head. Watching him fight, a strange feeling wells up inside Selma. At first she wonders if it's Orhan's problem but quickly dismisses that thought. She feels it's something else, something she can't understand, and that fills her with fear. Selma doesn't know what's happening to her, but she knows she has to control herself. Suddenly, the black dragon uses a different attack. Orhan immediately realizes it's dangerous. He starts running and dodges the continuous blasts. For a moment, he disappears from everyone's sight. Sophia panics, thinking that perhaps he was hit. At this moment, the scene changes. We are shown Orhan's past when he was a child and lived happily with his friends in a lively town. Everything was peaceful and happy at that time. But one day, when Orhan and Oliver were young, they found their hometown completely destroyed. While they were training, bandits attacked the village. Many people lost their lives and their whole world ended. They had nothing left but to cry. They knew their old life would never return. All they had was each other. They lost graves to everyone in the town. That day, Orhan decided to become strong so that no one could ever take anything away from him. Orhan said the same thing. He'll be so strong that no matter how dangerous things get, he won't lose anything. He promised to be strong enough to protect those he loves. Now, in the present, he remembers that promise. He vowed to become an adventurer. He decided to gain knowledge and power so that the terrors of this world would never break him. Now, to protect everyone, he must defeat the terrors facing him. This isn't difficult for him, as he simply has to defeat the enemy. Sophia is delighted when she sees that Orhan is fine. Logan says that he knew he would be so easy, he won't lose. Selma analyzes the last attack. She explains that when the black dragon fires purple mist as a weapon, it is his strongest spell. This spell has killed so many adventurers that it has become a fear in itself. Orhan stands there and thinks that this attack is probably akin to his magical convergence, which uses the surrounding magical power. The black dragon transforms that power into different forms, allowing it to attack from every direction. But the last time he defeated the dragon, it had even more types. This means the black dragon isn't serious now and is underestimating Orhan. Orhan runs straight at the dragon again. He rapidly dodges multiple attacks. Then he casts Fire Bullet and aims at the dragon's head so he can get closer and attack with his sword. But this time the black dragon's scales have become even tougher, and it's surrounded by dangerous purple mist. Orhan thinks quickly and blocks all the attacks with his sword. This causes an explosion and it's pushed back. The black dragon isn't about to stop. It sends another wave of purple mist. Orhan immediately casts Rock Wall and notices that the dragon has changed its attack pattern and is now even faster than before. Suddenly, the black dragon attacks from Orhan's blind spot. It was impossible to dodge it. Luckily, Orhan had already set up a reflective ball there, which reflected the attack and saved him. The black dragon continues to unleash multiple attacks. The children watch the fight from afar, completely speechless. Bernard is equally shocked because Orhan is actually matching the black dragon, but he wonders if he will truly win. Selma tells him that Orhan can't make the final move. At this speed, he won't be able to defeat the dragon. Orhan keeps running non-stop and unleashing multiple attacks simultaneously. It's extremely difficult for him alone. Last time, Derek and Luna were blocking the purple mist. Annalie was pinning the monster down with magic, and Oliver's divine flash was their secret weapon. Now none of them are present, so Orhan has to do everything alone. Even though it seems impossible, he vows to defeat the black dragon without relying on anyone. He will use all his strength, and he jumps on the dragon again. Caroline immediately notices that he is using active defense. Now she understands how dodge-type defenders move. The black dragon is pinned down and unable to attack freely. Orhan is pulling him away so that he cannot attack the others. Sophia understands that he is protecting everyone. Even in such a dangerous situation, Orhan prioritizes the safety of others. Orhan then uses parallel construction and casts multiple magic circles around the black dragon. The purpose is to prevent the dragon from attacking in any way. As soon as these circles activate, another massive explosion occurs around the black dragon. Selma is shocked by this. She can't believe Orhan can cast so many spells at once. Caroline then explains that Orhan had already said that there are some rare people who can use dozens of spells simultaneously. And now it's clear that Orhan is one of them. Logan says that this is the way to go for the kind of adventurer who wants to reach the very bottom of the great dungeon. Orhan himself knows that the black dragon has probably never faced so many spells in its entire life. But he also knows that defeating the dragon with just this one is impossible, so he has already prepared another spell. Now, all the executive attacks hit the black dragon simultaneously. Orhan explains that he used the Rage and Repeat spell. It is a trap spell that absorbs magical power from the surrounding area and then repeats the previous attack with even greater intensity. This is his own original spell that takes full advantage of his magical convergence ability. Selma, seeing this, says she had no idea that trap magic could be used as such an aggressive attack. Logan explains that Orhan is turning the entire battlefield to his advantage, and that's the way an enchanter fights. Orhan steps back and observes the result of his trap spell and says that its power is as strong as Annalie's attack magic. The black dragon dissipates flames from its wings. Orhan is not surprised by this, as he already knows how powerful the black dragon is. He also clarifies that when he was in the hero's party, they always had an extra attacker to deliver the final killing blow. Now Orhan uses magical convergence once again, but this time he applies it to his sword. His sword turns completely black. It's not like Oliver's gold blade, but a pure black blade. With this sword, he delivers a divine flash slash against the black dragon's powerful fire breath. His divine flash is also black, completely cutting through the dragon's attack. Orhan puts all his strength into this attack. He knows that the person in the hero's party, he can play every role. He is the kind of swordsman he aspires to be. His attack is so powerful that even the black dragon tries to retreat in fear. But Orhan doesn't give him a chance to escape. He uses impact to further boost his divine flash, which hits the black dragon directly. Then, Orhan realizes that the black dragon sacrificed its tail to save its head. He couldn't completely finish it, but that's to be expected from a deep floor boss. Still, Orhan has a reason not to give up. He continues the fight and clearly states that this is now a one-on-one fight and neither of them wants to retreat. This is where the real battle begins. The black dragon becomes enraged and desperate chases Orhan. He tries to bite her. Orhan quickly dodges, but then all his buffs are gone, meaning his time limit is up. Selma notices this and immediately casts status now, but for some reason her magic doesn't work. Orhan stops her, saying he doesn't need her buffs. He thinks the buffs will disrupt his normal fighting rhythm. He wants the others to focus on protecting themselves. Only then does Selma understand that Orhan has rejected her buffs. Indirectly, he's saying he doesn't need her support. This makes Selma feel a little bad, and she accepts that there's no place for her in this fight between Orhan and the Black Dragon. Orhan then inflicts quintuple status abuse upon himself and immediately casts an extremely powerful thunder shock on the Black Dragon, which he reinforces with an impact spell. This shock hits the Black Dragon directly, causing it to fall to the ground. The entire place falls silent. After a while, they hear the Black Dragon roar, confirming that it is still alive. At this point, Orhan is completely exhausted and suddenly shatters into 100 pieces. Despite this, he knows that the Black Dragon is in dire straits as well. Now is the time to finish it off, and he casts the destruction spell. A black mist surrounds it, and everyone feels insane levels of magical power. Just then, a pitch-black great sword appears before him. Orhan explains that destruction is a spell that gathers massively amplified magic within a sword. Even without impact, its power far exceeds that of a special rank spell. Now, Orhan casts reflective walls all around him and jumps over them to reach the Black Dragon from above. He then uses Weight Up, and with impact, throws himself like a missile, causing a devastating blast against the Black Dragon that shakes the entire place. Everything falls silent once again, and this time, as the dust settles, Orhan stands up and announces to everyone that the Black Dragon has been defeated. Everyone immediately runs to him to celebrate that they are alive because of Orhan. The scene changes and a quiet, emotional atmosphere sets in. The hero's party sees the teleport light and reaches the location. Everyone is surprised by their sudden arrival. Luna goes forward searching for Orhan, but then she sees something that stuns everyone. Yes, it's the dead Black Dragon. Seeing this, Oliver initially thinks Orhan is alive and goes to attack him, but Luna stops and confirms that he's dead. Then they see Orhan, whose condition doesn't seem normal. Luna wonders why only Orhan has injuries and others are completely fine. Orhan approaches her without saying anything and moves forward. Derek tries to stop Orhan, but he doesn't listen. Now, seeing the situation, everyone is confused because the Black Dragon is already defeated. It's clear that a powerful enemy was just defeated here. Black dragons are extremely dangerous monsters, usually requiring many high-level adventurers to defeat. The fact that the dragon is already dead shocks Luna and everyone else nearby. At first, the other adventurers and heroes' party can't believe what they're seeing. They begin to argue among themselves. Some claim it must have been a group effort, while others refuse to accept the idea that a single person could defeat such a monster. The heroes' party becomes angry because accepting the truth would mean admitting that their own strength is far below Orhan's. Their pride prevents them from seeing reality clearly. Now Luna carefully examines the situation and makes a calm but firm statement. She declares there's no doubt about it, the Black Dragon was defeated by Orhan alone. Her words silence everyone. No one can deny the evidence anymore. Oliver seems angry and feels himself a weak hero. Then, we see a night scene where Sophia begins writing their joint exploration report. During this time, Sophia thinks deeply about what she experienced. She remembers how Orhan encouraged her during the mission. Before meeting him, Sophia was unsure of herself and lacked confidence. Orhan spoke to her calmly and helped her believe in her own abilities. Because of his guidance, she was able to cast advanced magic for the first time in her life. Sophia also remembers that Orhan taught her difficult magical concepts, like parallel spell construction, which allows a mage to prepare and control multiple spells at the same time. This technique is usually only known by very experienced mages. Orhan didn't show off or act superior when teaching her. He simply explained everything clearly and patiently. What impressed Sophia the most was Orhan's fighting style during the battle. These were the same basic combat principles he had taught others before. Just then, Selma enters the room with a messy face. Sophia suggests she take a bath together to refresh. There they talk only about Orhan. Selma is a strong and famous adventurer. At first, Selma believes that Orhan's strength is something impossible to understand. She thinks that his power is simply beyond normal logic. However, after seeing his strength, Selma is completely stunned. Here, Sophia explains that Orhan's actions were based on solid fundamentals. His strength wasn't random or mysterious. It was built on deep understanding and experience. Selma becomes proud of her sister for being able to analyze the battle so carefully. At the same time, she gains even more respect for Orhan. She understands that his true strength lies not only in his power, but also in his knowledge and discipline. The next day, Orhan wakes up in his room, feeling extreme muscle pain. His entire body hurts, and he realizes that he pushed himself to his absolute limit during the fight. Even so, he's surprised to find that he doesn't suffer from any serious injuries or long-term damage. After that, Selma visits Orhan soon after. She apologizes for disturbing him and asks about his condition. When Orhan tells her that he's fine, Selma bows her head deeply. She thanks him sincerely, saying that without him, many people would have died during the joint exploration. She makes it clear that she's not thanking him as a leader or superior, but as a person whose life was saved. After expressing her gratitude, Selma invites Orhan to visit her clan's headquarters. There, the clan leader speaks to Orhan directly and honestly. He offers Orhan a position in the clan, asking him to become the frontline attacker of their strongest party. In addition, the leader says he wants to recommend Orhan as a high-ranking executive member of the clan. The leader explains his reasoning clearly. Orhan has more than enough combat strength. He has real experience fighting powerful enemies. He understands teamwork, strategy, and magical theory. He is also calm, serious, and hardworking. From the clan's point of view, Orhan is an ideal candidate. For a moment, it seems like Orhan has no reason to refuse. He does not immediately reject it, nor does he accept it. Instead, he politely asks for more time to think. The person speaking with him agrees and tells Orhan to take his time. Orhan thanks them sincerely for respecting his feelings. Before the conversation ends, Orhan is told that the Adventurer Guild also wants to speak with him. Orhan accepts this without hesitation and says that he will go there next. After the meeting ends, Orhan is left alone with his thoughts. He finds it strange and almost unbelievable that a powerful clan like Night Sky Silver Rabbits is seriously trying to accept him. For a brief moment, he wonders if this means he could once again have companions and walk alongside others. However, that older man laughs softly at Orhan's expression and teases him for overthinking. Orhan explains that he is serious. Even though the offer sounds generous, he cannot stop himself from worrying. He feels that while the clan appears to value him now, things could change if he ever became inconvenient. He understands that people often use others for their abilities, even if they do not mean harm. He believes cooperation is important, and that people grow stronger by supporting each other and covering each other's weaknesses, but he also believes trust should not be given lightly. While Orhan is still thinking, the scene shifts to the Adventurer Guild. The guild master speaks directly to Orhan about a recent incident. The guild master mentions that a black dragon appeared on the 50th floor and that Orhan defeated it alone. Orhan answers honestly and confirms that it is true. Immediately, Derek interrupts the conversation. He tries to downplay his achievement, claiming that the dragon was already weakened and that Orhan only defeated it by luck. Their words are filled with jealousy and bitterness. The guild master allows Orhan to speak, but before he can respond, Oliver, the leader of Orhan's former party, is questioned instead. Orhan asks permission from the guild master, and then asks Oliver why he brought a newly recruited enchanter into such a dangerous area, and why the party descended as far as the 92nd floor. Orhan reminds him that he had been warned multiple times that advancing further would be extremely dangerous with their current strength. Oliver tries to justify his actions. He says that he believed the party could go further if they replaced Orhan with a stronger support mage. He admits that he thought changing enchanters would allow the party to continue progressing safely. Orhan listens quietly. He says that he is not angry about being removed from the party itself. What truly angers him is how lightly Oliver speaks about the role of an enchanter. Oliver claims that he never underestimated support magic and that he understood its importance. However, his next words reveal the truth. He says that enchanters simply stay in safe positions and reapply buffs when the time runs out. When Orhan hears this, he becomes visibly upset. He asks Oliver if he truly believes that. Orhan then explains in detail what an enchanter actually does. He lists the exact buff durations for each party member. Oliver's buffs expire after 61 seconds, Annelie's after 134 seconds, and Derek's after 186 seconds. Orhan explains that an enchanter must constantly track all of these timers at the same time. He asks how any of this could be considered easy. Oliver and the others fall silent. They cannot respond, because they realize they never truly understood the burden Orhan carried for the party. The scene shifts to Sophia and her companions. They talk about Orhan and wonder what he plans to do next. Sophia admits that she was unable to speak with him properly the day before. She expresses her hope that Orhan will join Night Sky Silver Rabbits. Caroline agrees and suggests that they ask him together. They believe that having Orhan with them would help them grow stronger. However, Selma is hesitant, sitting alone. She admits that she also wants Orhan to join, but she worries that their clan may not be strong enough to stand beside him. She believes that compared to Orhan, they might only slow him down. Just then, Sophia, Caroline, and Logan reach her and ask about Orhan. Sophia mentions that they want Orhan to join their clan. She explains that being near Orhan gives her a clear goal. Learning from him makes her feel stronger and more motivated. She enjoys training with him and wants to improve. Sophia says that even if they are weak now, they will become stronger. She promises that one day they will earn the right to stand beside Orhan as true companions. Selma listens carefully and finally agrees. She realizes that instead of worrying about being a burden, she should focus on learning and growing stronger herself. Meanwhile, Orhan heads toward the Adventure Guild to deal with a penalty related to forced teleportation. He feels exhausted, both physically and mentally. While walking, he suddenly hears familiar voices. Sophia and the others appear, looking for him. Orhan notices their hesitation and realizes they are trying to find the courage to speak with him. However, before they can say anything and reach him, Orhan disappears. Orhan is feeling conflicted inside. He understands that if he clearly tells Sophia and the others that he does not want to join their clan, they will be deeply hurt. Because of that, he avoids meeting them face to face. He knows this avoidance is childish, but his heart feels heavy and he does not know how to properly face their honest feelings. From the outside, it looks like he is running away, but in truth, he is trying to protect them from disappointment. The older man notices this and comments that Orhan seems unusually important to many people. He gently points out that Orhan is clearly loved and respected more than Orhan himself realizes. Orhan tries to brush it off, but it is clear that the words affect him. Meanwhile, Sophia and her companions are confused and worried. They wonder why Orhan keeps avoiding them. Caroline asks if Orhan might dislike the idea of joining Night Sky Silver Rabbits, which is why he is keeping his distance. Logan suggests that this is exactly why they should all ask him together, honestly and directly. They believe that if Orhan hears their true feelings, he might understand how serious they are. Caroline even declares that if Orhan truly refuses to join the clan, she would rather leave the clan himself and become Orhan's disciple instead. Sophia immediately agrees, saying that she also wants to stay with Orhan. She admits that the thought of being separated from him makes her feel lonely and sad. This shows how deeply Orhan has already become a part of their emotional world. When Orhan hears this, the older man laughs and tells him to stop underestimating how much he is admired. He tells Orhan that he understands Orhan is searching for a place where he belongs, but reminds him that a place to belong does not always have to be something found alone. Sometimes it can be built together with others. Orhan reflects on these words quietly. Later that night, Sophia finally finds Orhan. She thanks him again for saving her life and explains that everyone had been searching for him. Orhan apologizes and says that he was just walking around thinking. He asks Sophia why she is out so late, and she explains that this area near the clan headquarters is her favorite place. She leads Orhan to a quiet, dark spot and points to the sky. She tells him to look at the moon. Even though the surroundings are dark, the moon shines brightly and clearly. Sophia explains that when she looks at the moon, she feels like she gains strength. No matter how dark things become, the moon continues to shine, and that gives her hope. Sophia then asks Orhan if he knows the meaning behind the name Night Sky Silver Rabbits. She explains that it is also called the Silver Guide of the Night. The name represents a guiding light for explorers, something that shows them the correct path when they are lost. The clan was named with the hope that it would become a guide for adventurers who walk dangerous roads. The word guide triggers a faint memory in Orhan's mind. He feels like he once spoke about something similar with someone in the past, though he cannot clearly remember when or with whom. The feeling lingers, warm and painful at the same time. Then Sophia gathers her courage and speaks honestly. She asks Orhan to please join Night Sky Silver Rabbits. She tells him that she wants to continue walking beside him. Orhan asks her a serious question in return. He asks what Night Sky Silver Rabbits means to her personally. Sophia thinks carefully before answering. She says that for her, the clan is a place that showed her the right path, gave her smiles, and helped her grow. It is a place she can proudly call her home. It is where she belongs and where she feels safe returning to. She calls it her most important place. When Orhan hears this, something inside him finally settles. He realizes that Sophia already has an answer to what a place to belong truly means. Through her words, Orhan understands that belonging is not about weakness or dependence, but about choosing a place that gives meaning to one's journey. At that moment, Orhan makes his decision. In the next scene, he turns toward the clan leader and formally asks to be accepted into Night Sky Silver Rabbits. He speaks clearly and without hesitation. The clan leader immediately welcomes him with joy and announces that Orhan is now officially a member of the clan. Then Selma presents Orhan with a clan uniform and tells him to put it on. Now the three also come and Sophia is shocked and overjoyed. Orhan confirms it himself, saying that from now on he is also a member of Night Sky Silver Rabbits. He greets everyone again properly as a fellow clan member and thanks them for accepting him. That night, after everyone has gone to sleep, Orhan has a dream. In his dream, he goes back to his childhood. He sees himself and Oliver training together. They are still young boys at that time. They are standing in a large training ground made of stone. Around them, several strict adults are watching closely. These people are training them to become heroes. Their eyes are sharp and serious. They do not miss even the smallest movement. Oliver looks very tense. His face is serious and his teeth are clenched. He attacks Orhan with all his strength. His sword moves quickly through the air. He does not hold back at all. It is clear that he wants to win. Orhan, however, looks relaxed. He moves more slowly. He blocks some attacks, but he does not seem to be fighting with his full power. After a short while, Oliver knocks the sword out of Orhan's hand. The wooden blade falls to the ground with a loud sound. Orhan falls backward and hits the floor with a heavy thud. He lies there and looks up at the sky. Then he smiles and laughs softly. He says that Oliver has become very strong and that he cannot defeat him anymore. Oliver becomes angry when he hears that. His face turns red. He shouts that Orhan is lying. He says that Orhan is much stronger than this. In the past, Orhan always defeated him. Oliver knows that Orhan is holding back, but Orhan only shakes his head. He says quietly that he is not that strong anymore. He says that Oliver has already surpassed him a long time ago. His voice sounds calm, but there is sadness hidden inside it. Oliver is not satisfied with this answer. He feels frustrated, but he does not know what to say. He stares at Orhan with anger in his eyes. Then he turns around and walks away without saying another word. Orhan remains lying on the ground. Suddenly, a silver-haired girl runs toward him. Her name is Shin. She has always been Orhan's close friend. Her long silver hair shines under the sunlight. She kneels beside him quickly and asks if he is hurt. Orhan sits up and smiles at her. He says that he is perfectly fine. Then he laughs a little and says that it is embarrassing that she saw him get beaten like that. Shin shakes her head strongly. She tells him that he fought bravely. She says he looked very cool while fighting. His eyes are full of admiration. She also says that she knows what Orhan can really do if he shows his true strength, but Orhan looks away. He says softly that he cannot do that anymore. He explains that his heart is weak now. His body cannot handle that power anymore. If he pushes himself too far, he might break. Shin listens carefully, then she makes a promise. She says that one day she will help him solve this problem. She says that they will find a way together. However, as time passes, those words slowly disappear from Orhan's memory. It is as if someone erased them. Just like secret files that are covered in black ink and hidden from the world, her promise becomes unclear and lost inside his mind. He cannot remember what she truly meant. He cannot remember how deeply they were connected, how they felt like two parts of the same soul, or what dream they promised to achieve together. He also cannot remember clearly how she suddenly disappeared from his life and went to the other side of the kingdom. In truth, Shin is still alive. She now belongs to a dangerous cult. She is no longer the gentle girl from the training grounds. Her expression has become cold. She leads a small party of 3 members. Together they are extremely powerful. One day they face 5 strong adventure parties who are working together. Those adventurers are skilled and experienced, but it does not matter. Because they do not belong to the cult's faction, Shin and her team attack them without mercy. After the fight, she calmly tells her party that they will move forward. But before they can leave, a man wearing white robes suddenly appears in front of her. He informs her that the cult leaders have received important news. In the Northern Kingdom, an unknown man has defeated the Black Dragon all by himself. The cult leaders are interested in this mysterious person. Shin is ordered to investigate him. She must try to recruit him into their cult. However, if he refuses to join them, she must kill him immediately. Shin thinks about the information carefully. She knows it cannot be Oliver. Oliver is too famous. Everyone knows his name. He would not be called an unknown man. So who could it be? In the end, she decides that it does not matter. If the man stands against the cult, she will kill him without hesitation. With that decision made, she and her party begin their journey toward the Northern Kingdom. They do not know that the man she is supposed to recruit or kill is actually her childhood friend, Orhin. One of her party members, a rude pink-haired boy, complains during their journey. He says that the Northern Kingdom is still controlled by the church. They must be very careful. If they are discovered, they will likely be captured and thrown into dark dungeons. Shin agrees. She says they must stay quiet and move in secret. They need to act like normal travelers and not draw attention to themselves. However, deep inside her heart, Shin feels a strange and uncomfortable sensation about this mission. She does not understand why, but she hopes that everything will end quickly. She does not want to return to that part of the kingdom. The truth is that during her childhood, Shin was deeply in love with Orhin. But after he left, she was told a terrible lie. She was made to believe that the old men of the church had pushed Orhin into so much stress and suffering that he ended his own life. Because of that false belief, her heart became filled with pain, anger, and hatred. And now, without knowing the truth, she is walking straight toward the boy she once loved, the boy she believes has long been dead. Meanwhile, Orhin is sitting inside a large meeting room. The room is filled with the senior members of the Night Sky Silver Rabbits. The atmosphere feels serious and heavy. Everyone is sitting around a long wooden table. At the front of the room stands the leader of the clan. He is a thin man with glasses and a serious expression. Many people call him a nerd because he always looks thoughtful and analytical. He clears his throat and begins to speak. He introduces Orhin to everyone. He explains that the recent expedition was a great success, and he says that Orhin was one of the main reasons for that success. He tells the room that not only did Orhin protect all the rookie adventurers, but he also made sure that the guides who went with them survived. Then he reveals something that makes the whole room quiet. He says that Orhin defeated the Black Dragon all by himself. A soft murmur spreads through the room. The leader continues speaking. He says that he truly believes in Orhin's abilities. Because of that, he has decided to raise Orhin to the rank of lieutenant. This position was once held by their beloved hero, Albert, who died last year while fighting that same dragon. The leader says that Orhin will fill that empty place. Then he looks around the room and says that if anyone has a problem with this decision, they should speak now. For a moment, no one says anything. Then an old man slowly raises his hand. His face is full of wrinkles and his voice is deep and strict. He says that he has no problem with Orhin becoming one of the leaders. However, he wants to ask Orhin something important. He asks if Orhin truly understands what it means to become a lieutenant. He asks if Orhin believes that he can make the right decisions. The old man explains that once Orhin becomes a lieutenant, he will not only be responsible for his own life. He will also be responsible for the lives of the people under his command. Many lives are connected to this clan. Every decision he makes will affect the entire group. He continues speaking in a serious tone. For many members, the clan is the only thing they have in their lives. It is their home, their family, and their purpose. That is why leaders must always think about what is best for the clan, even if they have to suffer or sacrifice themselves in the process. As Orhin listens, painful memories suddenly rush into his mind. He remembers the promise he once made to Shin. He remembers the feelings he buried deep inside his heart. At that moment, he realizes something clearly. He cannot make the clan his entire life. He lifts his head and answers honestly. He tells the old man that he has a life outside the clan. Because of that, he cannot devote everything he to it. The room becomes silent. Everyone looks shocked. Even Selma, who knows Orhin better than most, did not expect him to say something like that. The old man becomes angry. He shouts and asks if Orhin understands what he just said. He says that such a statement makes him unfit to even be a clan member, let alone a lieutenant. He demands to know why Orhin is even here. Orhin remains calm. He says that he is here because he knows that he will protect anyone and everyone he cares about. Selma slowly begins to understand. Orhan does not care about the clan as a symbol or an organization. What he cares about are the people inside it. The old man still looks confused, so Orhan explains more clearly. He says that he will do everything in his power to protect his comrades. That is his promise, nothing more and nothing less. After a long silence, the old man finally backs down. The leader decides to hold a vote. He asks who supports Orhan becoming a lieutenant. Almost every hand in the room rises. From that moment on, Orhan becomes one of the famous lieutenants of the Night Sky Silver Rabbits. After the meeting ends, Selma walks with Orhan through a long corridor. She tells him that she will introduce him to the first unit, the team he will now be part of. But before they reach the room, a young girl calls out to Selma from behind. She says she wants to speak with the new lieutenant. Selma smiles and introduces the girl as Stella from the management division. Stella looks at Orhan with curiosity. She asks if he is good at teaching others. Then she explains that there is a new party that needs guidance and she would like Orhan to help them. Selma thinks it is a good idea. However, Orhan wonders if this will cause problems with the first unit. Selma reassures him. She says that he will have much more free time now compared to when he was in the heroes' party. Stella promises to send him the details about the new group, then she quickly leaves. Soon after, Selma brings Orhan into a room where the first unit is waiting. They are sitting around a round table. A blue-haired girl speaks first. She introduces herself as Rain, the mage of the party. Orhan notices that even though she seems to be the oldest, she does not carry herself with much confidence. Rain looks a little insecure. Before the silence grows awkward, a blonde girl smiles and speaks up. She says her name is Otis, and she is the healer of the team. Then a tall silver-haired man introduces himself as Will. He says he is the defender and acts as the shield of the group. He has a confident smile and a strong build. Finally, Orhan looks at Selma. She formally introduces herself again as the enchanter and the leader of this unit. Orhan realizes that from now on, these people will be his comrades. They will fight beside him. They may even risk their lives for him. For politeness, he stands up and introduces himself as Orhan, the frontline attacker of the party. Will laughs a little. He says that after Albert died, he tried to take over the role of frontline attacker. But he admits that he is not very good at it. Selma tells everyone to relax and stop being so formal. But before Orhan can even sit down, Will suddenly asks how he defeated the Black Dragon. Selma notices that Orhan looks slightly uncomfortable. She gently says that he does not have to answer if he does not want to. However, Orhan shakes his head. He says that if they are going to fight together, they should understand each other's abilities. He begins to explain. He says that the main reason he was able to defeat the dragon alone was because of 2 original spells that he created himself. Everyone looks shocked. Creating original magic is extremely rare. Orhan explains that his first spell is called Impact. This spell can increase the effect of any equipment or magic by 100 times. The room becomes silent again. Then he explains his second spell. This spell can be cast multiple times to increase the power of support magic and buffs. During the battle with the dragon, he used this spell on himself 32 times. Rain and Otis are stunned. They realize that such an ability would give him a massive advantage in battle. However, Orhan calmly adds that he can only use the spell on himself. Also, the stress it puts on his body is extremely high. He cannot maintain it for long. He remembers how the fight with the dragon lasted longer than expected. By the end of it, his body was in terrible condition. Otis then asks if he is so strong, does that mean he can perform any role in battle? Orhan shakes his head. He reveals that no matter how hard he tries, he can only use mid-level magic. He cannot cast advanced spells. This confuses everyone. Selma asks how that is possible when he understands magic deeply enough to create new spells. Orhan looks down. He admits that he does not know the reason himself. But his original spells help cover that weakness, so he is not completely useless. After listening carefully, Selma says that they should go to the dungeon soon to practice working together as a team. But before that, Orhan says he needs to buy a sword. Rain is surprised. She asks why he has not ordered a custom sword yet. Making a good sword takes many days. Orhan casually replies that he usually buys a normal sword from a shop. He just uses simple, ready-made weapons. The entire team is shocked. Even beginner adventurers use weapons like that. They cannot believe that the Dragon Slayer uses ordinary swords instead of special custom ones. They drag him to the clan's blacksmith. The blacksmith looks at Orhan seriously. He says that someone of Orhan's level should use a weapon made from materials found in the deepest layers of the dungeon. Orhan smiles slightly and says not to worry. Then he takes out several rare artifacts he collected from deep dungeons. Among them is a large black scale from the Black Dragon. The moment the scale appears, the entire room becomes silent. The members of the first unit freeze, their faces turn pale. Orhan suddenly realizes his mistake. This dragon defeated them in the past. They lost someone precious because of it. He quickly tries to apologize. Rain takes a deep breath. She struggles with painful memories, but she manages to speak. She says that the Black Dragon scale would be the perfect material to forge a sword worthy of the Dragon Slayer. And with that, their new journey is about to begin.